Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Putting the Story in History. And today is Martin Luther King Jr. Day. So I thought it was important to acknowledge and talk about um, Dr. King's legacy, and especially in this time, right? We're 2 days away from inauguration, um, and we're, 12 days past an armed insurrection at our capital by the very people that um, Dr. King so adamantly opposed. Um, and so I think it's really important to kind of put his message into the context of modern America. Martin Luther King didn't just believe in racial equality. Now, don't get me wrong, that was one of the big tenets of his message, right? That no matter who you were, black, white, Asian, Mexican, whatever, right? You you were supposed to be equal. You were born in God's eyes the same. Um, but he also stood firmly for socioeconomic progress. He wanted everyone to be able to live a comfortable life. He wanted everyone to be paid fairly. He wanted real economic change to occur um, in the country. And it blows my mind the more I've learned about his stances and what he stood for to see that most of what he wanted hasn't occurred. And it's it's mind-boggling because we hold him up as this great provider of change and this great symbol of equality. But as you kind of look at it, it seems like history has been used to really kind of whitewash Martin Luther King Jr. and kind of use him as this example of, oh, Martin Luther King advocated for nonviolence. You know, if black people do something violent, then they're not really invoking Martin Luther King Jr. Or oh, such and such happened. That's not what MLK would want. And then on this day, a lot of people who have done that whitewashing hold him up and they're like, oh, we all believe in his dream and we all believe in equality, and it's furthest from the truth that that's really what's happening. Um, so they really don't want you to know all the things he fought for. He wanted fair wages, he wanted good lives for all, and he wanted this equality in front of the law for all people. And we're so far from that ideal. And I think this summer, as well as just 12 days ago, really illustrates just how little progress has been made since the days of Dr. King, which is sad because I know growing up, and then maybe this is just my experience, but as a young white kid growing up in Chicago suburban area, I was taught that all these things happened and civil rights were attained and everybody was equal now. And we should all be treated as such. That was how we were taught. And growing up and realizing that as good as my teachers were trying to be and as idealistic as they were trying to be, they were wrong. And that's kind of heartbreaking. A whole generation of kids taught that we were all the same, that we're all equal, that we all should be able to have the same opportunities, and to see that that is just the furthest from the truth is is sad. It's not what should be, especially now, right? I saw a meme, believe it or not, this morning. Um, and it was talking about how Anne Frank and Martin Luther King were born on the same day, and if they were alive today, they'd be 90. And it really puts that into perspective. My my grandmother just passed away and she was 93. So, Martin Luther King is only 3 years younger than my grandmother was. So if he was still here, he would still, he would still be here. That's the point, right? If he hadn't been assassinated, he would still be here. We would still have his voice. We would still have his leadership, and we don't have that once again because of the violence of white men um, who can't handle strong, powerful black voices. So um, it's been incredibly difficult the last couple of days preparing for what should be a jubilant day, the end of 4 years of disaster, um, which could end up being marred by incredible acts of violence across our country. So, going into Wednesday, I hope that we take this day, this Martin Luther King Jr. Day, to really reflect as a nation and also individually. Um, when I was teaching, I would tell my kids whenever we were in class, either the day before or the day after, right? Usually it was like the Friday before or the Tuesday after. I'd talk about it. And I'd say, this day is not, a day off of school or just a day to do service or just a day um, to think about that one man, but it's a day to reflect on our own individual contributions to this system of white supremacy that our country is founded upon. And even if we haven't actively contributed, if you're white, you have maybe subconsciously or unconsciously, you don't necessarily want to, right? But you've been given advantages, you've been given opportunities strictly because you fit into the system. Um, and thinking about that and all the things that you have been able to accomplish because the system is built for you is something that you need to think about and at least be cognitively aware of it. Um, Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a very reflective and educational Martin Luther King Jr. Day. If it's safe to do so, go and do some service. Do something good for your community. If you can't, take some time. It doesn't have to be much. 15, 20 minutes. Reflect upon your privilege. Reflect upon what has been given to you and think about what you can do to use that privilege to make the world and our country better for everyone. Thank you so much. See you next time. Have a good day.